Hey guys, welcome back, and these are the proposed balance changes for August. And there's a lot of them this time. It's one of the biggest balance changes we've had in Clash Royale history, so let's get to it. So the first card we have here is a Dagger Duchess. It's getting a nerf, and I think this is a pretty big nerf to the Duchess. It's going from one hit every 0.45 seconds to now one hit every zero point 0.5 seconds. That's about a 10% hit speed nerf. And I think this is pretty big because the Dagger Duchess kind of capitalized on the fact that it could deal with Swarm quickly and cards like, let's say, an Ice Wizard that you didn't really have to worry about crossing the bridge and getting a little bit of chip damage. Cards like that. And now those cards that you don't really have to worry about, you're probably going to have to worry about now. So I think you're going to start to see a lot of changes with the Dagger Duchess. The next nerf we have is the Royal Chef. The Royal Chef is also getting a pretty big nerf. The cook frequency is going down 8% and 9% in its respective forms. So the cook frequency is one pancake probably about every 35 seconds, and now it's going to be one pancake every 38 seconds. In its other form, it used to be one pancake every 21, now it's one pancake every 3. Doesn't seem too huge, but I think this card's been pretty strong in a lot of decks, and it's getting cards even to level 17 by the time they're getting to the tower or past defenses. So yeah, overall just less pancakes everywhere, less super high level cards. It's definitely going to be easier to deal with. Nothing changes with the hit speed though, really just how many pancakes are on the board. Next, we have the Spear Goblins. This is just Spear Goblins in general. So anything involving a Spear Goblin is getting a pretty big nerf. It's going to be 50% nerf to the first hit time. So you have Spear Goblins, Goblin Giant, the Evo, Goblin Giant, Goblin Hut, and Goblin Gang. All of these are getting a nerf. The first hit used to come zero point 0.4 seconds after being deployed. Now it's going to be 0.6 seconds after being deployed. And I think this is pretty big. Um, but I think it's also good because these cards have been pretty strong for a while. And I think this is obviously going to start to change the meta a little bit. The card that I think will probably be affected least is Goblin Hut, just because it's a building and the Spear Goblins kind of stack on top of each other a little bit. So you're not really looking at the Goblin Hut for, say, its damage. So that one might not be much of a change, but I think with everything else, less chip damage everywhere. Pretty needed nerf in my opinion. Oh my gosh. They finally did it. The one everyone's been praying for. The miner is getting a nerf. This has been one of the strongest win conditions in Clash Royale history for years. So this one's been needing a nerf, and they're doing it by way of his hit speed. So he used to get one hit every 1.2 seconds. Now it's going to be one hit every 1.3, which doesn't seem too big. But when miner is a lot of top players' main win condition, relying on chip damage, this is huge. Um, Overall, you're just going to have less damage on your crown towers. Can't rely on this purely to win you games. So I think this is definitely needed, in my opinion. I'm just surprised they're finally doing it, to be honest, because it's been years and years of people begging for it. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's a small change, so we'll see if it actually makes a difference. The next nerf is coming to the Evo Skeleton Barrel. Uh, in my ranking video, I know I ranked these kind of mid, but they've been really strong lately. The death damage is really what's been doing it. So now it's getting a 5% death damage nerf. It's going from 256 damage to 243 damage, which to me isn't quite enough because if both of those barrels make it, just the death damage alone, not even the skeletons, is doing right about 500 damage to your towers. Um, I'm not really sure why they did this. Maybe it was um, defeating too many small troops on impact, so Swarm couldn't really deal with it well. I'm wondering if Goblin Gang stays alive or cards like that after it drops on top of them. So, I mean, we'll see. It's not that big of a nerf, but I think they're going to have to nerf it a little more. We'll see what happens in the final balance changes. So now we get to our first buff. It's going to be Spirit Empress. Spirit Empress is getting a 5% HP buff in its air form. So it's going from 1,254 HP to 1,318 HP. I don't think this is going to change much. The problem with Spirit Empress is not how long it stays alive. It's just the fact that it's pretty mid for 6 elixir. It attacks pretty slow. Yeah, it's a high damage dealer, but I don't really think people are that worried about it. And its 3 elixir form is kind of useless. I don't think I ever see the 3 elixir form. So I don't think this buff is doing much, and Spirit Empress is still going to be pretty mid. But yeah. Next card we got is the Phoenix. The Phoenix is getting a huge buff in my opinion. So death damage to towers reduction removed. Okay, so now it's just going to do full death damage even if it reaches a tower. So the damage when it drops the egg is now going to be full when it hits that tower. So it's probably going to be around 250 damage if it makes it to the tower. And the hit speed is going up by 11%. I think this is the big one. So now it's doing 1.11 hits per second instead of just 1 per second. This is going to do a lot more damage. It's going to be great for both offense and defense. I think Phoenix is going to be huge in the meta again. Yeah, this is a great buff. I really hope it doesn't bring it back to overpowered territory though. The next buff we got is to the Zappies. This is a great buff because Zappies are barely used, and I think they're a great card. They just get killed by spells too easily. So the first hit time is getting a 27% buff. It's going from 1.1 seconds to 0.8 seconds. So right after they're deployed, they're able to just basically start stunning things, which means that they're just going to get more hits. They're going to be greater for defense. So you might kind of be forced to use a spell on them when before you weren't. They're still not going to be good with Swarm, obviously, but they could probably stop bigger pushes easier, especially because it's not just one Zappy, there's multiple when you drop them. So this buff goes to all 3 of them. Oh my gosh, they got... Wow, they buffed Golem. Okay, sorry, I couldn't speak. They actually did it. I'm really surprised they did, but it's not to the actual Golem itself, it's just to the Golemites. Their damage is going up 113%. It's going from 48 damage to 102, which means you can't just leave these things alone anymore. Usually when people play Golem, they're able to just focus on defeating the Golem, and then they kind of just let the Golemites do their thing, and now if you do that, you will get punished. This plus the Phoenix buff is going to make beatdown very annoying, so watch out for that. Now we're getting to the reworks. Oh, they're reworking Firecracker finally. Okay, this card is being reworked because the sight range is going down 6%. So now it's only able to see 8 tiles around itself instead of 8.5, which is great. So it's not just going to target on everything it sees, or it's definitely going to target on less things. And the recoil is going down 33%. So now it's going to knock itself back 1 tile instead of 1.5. So overall, I think this is a nerf to the Firecracker. And it was just so annoying to kill when it knocked itself back 1.5 tiles. It seems like you always miss your spells. Or for me, I use Barb Barrel. So it seemed like it always just knocked itself right out of range of my Barb Barrel. But yeah, this card is really annoying and it's kind of brain dead. Really no skill. You could just drop it at the bridge and it does damage. So this is definitely a good rework in my opinion. Not even a rework. I think it's just a straight nerf to it. Next we got the Evolved Giant Snowball. So this has a 33% speed nerf, but it's just the Evo Giant Snowball. So I don't really know what the speed is talking about. Is it the speed that the troops go after it gets out of the snowball? Or is it the snowball itself? All right, I'm not sure, but I think Supercell said it was slowing stuff down too much, whether it's during the actual roll or whether it's after. So regardless, something's going faster, which means you're going to be able to target troops quicker, or your troops are going to be able to get unslowed quicker. So this is a nerf in my opinion. I don't really know why they're calling it a rework, but rework to the evolved giant snowball. Next is the minions. The minions are going to rework. They're just changing their speed. They're going from fast to very fast. I think this is amazing. Minions are a great card. They're just underused because of all the other air cards that are available. This means that it's going to be more of a threat, not really on defense, but on offense and counter pushes, because you can't like really just let them go to the tower anymore, or else they're going to do way too much damage. So they might become more of a baity card where you might have to use a spell on them, which isn't too bad. I think this card is a little deserving of it, and you're going to see it put behind tanks like I see it used with Giant and Mega Knight as a support troop, and you really can't just leave them alone anymore. I think it's a buff for the minions. The Rage is getting a rework. So Lumberjack gets rage damage buff, but not the duration nerf. Okay, so it's not really affecting Lumberjack's rage at all. So the damage is going up 21%. So now it's doing 148 damage. No, it was doing 148 damage. Now it's doing 179 damage, which is, I don't really know why they did that. I'm not really using rage for the damage, but the duration is going down 18%. So now it's going to be 4.5 seconds instead of 5.5. So overall, I think this is a nerf just because you're getting a second less of the actual rage effect. Lumberjack's rage, both Lumberjack and Evo Lumberjack, are still going to have the 5.5 second rage. So they're not changing that at all, just for the normal rage spell. Yeah, I think it's a nerf, just a buff for the Lumberjacks. Yeah. The Cannoneer is getting a rework. So the hit speed is going up 14%. The hits and the damage is going down 17%. Okay, so this is a nerf to the Cannoneer. So it's actually going to hit a little faster, but it's going to do quite a bit less damage. The whole point of using Cannoneer was to take down high HP troops, which to me, you're taking away the damage with this tower troop. You're kind of taking away the whole point of using it because it already has less HP to begin with. So it might be a little better for swarmy cards like Goblin Gang, but it's still not going to be good by any means. Like, it's only getting 0.3 more hits per second, which if you're dealing with the whole Goblin Gang, that thing's still going to do a bunch of damage. I don't really know why they did this, and I have a feeling it's probably not going to stay like this by the final balance changes because it's too much of a nerf. But we'll see. Maybe they'll do something with the HP to balance it out a little bit so that you're not starting with such low HP. But we'll see. Next, the Evolved Witch is getting a rework. Now only heals from skeletons she spawns herself. Okay, this is gonna kill the card. This is just a straight nerf. The heal per skeleton is going up by 18%, but really it only spawns like 4 to 8 skeletons every time it's on the board. You're maybe gonna keep it alive for an extra 2 seconds, or you're gonna have to waste elixir protecting it. This is awful, and I think they just nerfed this card to the ground with what, the 4th straight nerf now. Feel bad for all those graveyard players, but whatever. You only get good things every once in a while, so it was fun while it lasted. Next we have Evolved Dark Goblin. It's getting a rework. The poison duration is going down 75%. Whoa! From 4 seconds to 1. Well, this is a great change, but it's not a rework. This is just a straight nerf. Yeah, at least it's not going to kill huge beatdown pushes anymore because the poison was way overpowered. And this is great. I think this is a buff for the community, even though it's a nerf for the Dark Goblin. Okay. It's also getting a 13% hit speed nerf, but it's doing more damage. So now it's doing 148 damage instead of 133. I mean, it's not bad. I think I'd rather have a little bit of the hit speed than the damage. Actually, no, because it gets killed by small spells. So the damage is a bit of a buff, but the poison duration going down for the Evo is just awful. Evo archers are getting a rework. The power shot damage is going down 22%, and the range is getting buffed by 11%. So now it'll still be able to do the power shot even if it's 4 tiles away, and it doesn't have to be 4.5. So it could be closer and still do double damage, except the damage is going from 215 to 168. So overall, I think that's a nerf. Thank you, Supercell, because you just offered to give it to us for free, and now it's just worse. But I mean, the damage of the normal archers going up from 107 to 112. So the normal archers are getting a buff. I think the Evo is getting a nerf. That's a better way to say it. The Goblin Hut is getting a rework. The spawn delay is being buffed by 50%. So it's going from 1 second to 0.5 seconds. I think this means that the second you place it, now the Goblin comes out half a second earlier. So it'll actually start doing damage earlier, but the spawn frequency is going down 5%. So now it just doesn't spawn as many. It's probably another nerf on top of this Spear Goblin nerf already. They're just nerfing this card to the ground as well. I mean, but we'll see what sticks. These aren't the final balance changes. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please like and subscribe. This really helps me out, and hopefully you tune into later videos to get more quick information like this. We'll see you guys next time.